This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good-looking friends. The penny is starting to drop, and what I am seeing is more and more people are looking a little bit closer at these photos from Meghan's childhood, including the Sidley twins. And yesterday, the penny appears to be dropping for them, and they are now looking closer at some of these photos. Same thing with Our Recollections May Vary. This weekend, she posted another great video of a Photoshop fail. So I'm really glad to see that more and more people are starting to open their minds to the possibilities because of what we know about Meghan Markle and her history of lies and manipulation. This is not a far-off stretch to think that not only does she manipulate photos in the present tense, but a lot of these photos have been manipulated in the past tense. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking. Meghan is not capable of pulling off all these edited photos and videos on her own. And I agree with you. No, she is not the only one responsible for these manipulated photos and videos. The people who have been responsible of supplying these edited photos and manipulated videos have been in our faces from the very beginning. Remember when the Markles did this world-exclusive Spotlight 7 News interview last year, right before the coronation? As a teaser, journalist Taylor Auerbach posted photos on Twitter promising an explosive program featuring the family members Meghan abandoned, including this photo that was posted of Meghan with the headline, "The photo that Meghan never wanted the world to see." And as you can see, that this picture was published to the Daily Mail, and it came from this Taylor Auerbach, who is supposed to be this journalist in Australia. As we just saw before, he was working with the Markles on this interview. Now, using critical thinking and logic, being that this journalist, Taylor, had been working with the Markles, the only way that he could have gotten this photo had to have been from the Markles, which means he had their approval. In the description at the bottom, it's just very generic of a young Meghan at the dinner table wearing a white blouse and smiling candidly, labeling it a photo she never wanted the world to see. Doesn't say when it was or if there was a special occasion. It just makes you believe that she's at the dinner table with her family having dinner, period. And it looks like she's at a very nice dinner, looking like a hot mess, but the food in front of her does look a little bit more upscale than going to a fast food restaurant. To me, that definitely doesn't look like the Sizzler salad bar. But anyway, you're probably saying, where am I going with this? Right. Let's get to it. So I was looking at photos last night that I was going to send the Sidley twins, showing that Meghan's height is very different in these various photos. And as I was looking, this photo caught my eye. And you know, when you hear a song, sometimes it puts you back into a place in history, like you remember certain things. That is something that happens to me whenever I see photos. I will remember other things that connect to it. And then I started thinking about Doria and the amount of times that she had been with Meghan and photographed for so-called milestone events, which then led me to this photo of Meghan at this graduation that she wants the world to believe is from Northwestern University. We've already clarified in the Biggest Fraud Alive series that Northwestern University's cap and gown is purple. So not only is this a deception and manipulation, but if you look in the background, there's nobody else graduating. So I'm going to put that on the back burner for you guys to chew on, but I'm pointing this out because then this photo then triggered off another photo. Because when I look at Meghan's feet here, sorry, I hate to do this to y'all, I recognize that I've seen those shoes. Here is a better photo of these shoes. Now we know how much Meghan hates her feet. You can see that her feet are clearly photoshopped here. These shoes were seen here in 2017 with photos that had been released of Meghan partying it up with Nanaki Pretty and throwing herself on random men with her shirt unbuttoned. They were having a good time, as you can see another photo with them here during that night. Now, we're supposed to believe that this night out on the town was to celebrate graduating university. So here we have Nanaki Pretty, who appears to have flown out from California to Chicago and is celebrating. They're pictured here in what appears to be a cab with this random girl whose name has never been identified. Most likely they had been drinking because at the beginning of the night, Meghan was driving. Because here she is, wearing the same clothes at a McDonald's drive-thru where it says stopping for a snack. The actress was happy to stop at a drive-thru to grab a bite to eat during the night out, which marked the end of her studies at Northwestern, where she majored in theater and international studies. Now, one could safely assume that if Meghan was driving during the night, at some point they had to take cabs because, logically, they probably were drinking. So this most likely was earlier on in the night to where they probably picked up something quick to eat before they went out to party. Now, going back to this photo of Meghan looking like a whore with her shirt unbuttoned at this club, wherever they are. So here's Meghan again with her shirt unbuttoned, assuming that this is the same night, right? Because there's that random girl that was in the cab with them, smiling away. But then when you look at the whole picture, you're like, what the F is Doria doing there? So now this photo was published in 2018 from an interview that Thomas Markle had done with The Sun. This photo had to have come from the Markle family because this is the same exact outfit and table and chair that Meghan was sitting in the never-before-seen photo that Meghan doesn't want the world to see. So now when you look at the comparisons between the photo from 2018 to 2023 that was provided by the Markles, you realize that that was the same event and they have photoshopped them. Let's start off with the obvious to establish that this is the same event. Meghan's sitting in the same chair and she's wearing the same shirt unbuttoned down to her crotch. As you can see, the guy behind her is wearing the same shirt with the white part poking out. Now, this next shot gives me every indication that this is Photoshop. Like, where did Doria go? As well as look at this table. In the picture on the left, the table looks longer as opposed to the picture on the right. It looks cut off, showing that it's just Meghan sitting there when in 2018 they show a photo with Doria sitting there. We know that this is the same moment in time because look at the layers on Meghan's hair. And now what has become pretty standard noticing about these altered and edited photos is that we always have some type of wear and tear on the photos that appear to be manipulated. So if this was back in 2003 and you see the photo on the left-hand side is crystal clear, and then all of a sudden, the photo on the right side is all weathered and it's faded and you can't really make out what's going on in the back to give off the appearance that it was sitting in some type of album with a clear film over it. Now, after looking at all these photos, I have come to the conclusion, and it's my opinion, that this dinner never happened. And the reason why I say that is if you had this big dinner, then why would you go to McDonald's to get a snack? And some of you might say, well, maybe they were drinking. Agreed. Then why is she driving? If this was at the beginning of the night, then why would you need to get a snack if you're going to dinner? You follow me? But even if you're still skeptical, going back to this photo from 2018, look at her friend. What is wrong with her friend's body? Looking closer at this friend whose name was never revealed, it's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. Looking at her head in comparison to her body in relation to the table, not only does she look like she has no arms, but it almost appears as if she is a little person. This woman is not even sitting in a chair because where's the backing? Like what Meghan's sitting in. If it was a restaurant, you would think that all the chairs would be the same, right? And I believe that Doria was also photoshopped in there because look at her expression. None of their expressions match in this photo. So now when we go back to this picture of Nanaki, Meghan, and this unnamed girl in this cab, you clearly know that this event, whatever it was, not a dinner, going out somewhere, whether it be in Chicago or in LA. Personally, I think this all happened in LA. Nothing happened in Chicago. That's my opinion. But you know that these photos have been photoshopped because when you look back at what the girl who's unnamed is wearing, it's not what she's wearing in the photo where she looks like she has no arms. So there is evidence right there that these photos have been manipulated to position certain narratives and being reused all over the world to push whatever false narratives that Meghan has of the day. And this is what we have been seeing over the last 6 years. And the Markles are very much a part of it. Now, I'm not saying that the Markles are behind all of this. I'm saying that they're playing a part in all of this. And what I mean by all of this is the psyops. If you go back to the psychological warfare that has been unleashed on unsuspecting people, you'll understand where this is coming from. When you revisit a lot of these photos, things start jumping out at you. Like, take, for example, Meghan and her arm. Like, where did her arm go? And especially look at how they're all sitting in this cab. This would be physically impossible to be sitting like this. It's like they're sitting on the ground of this car with no back seat. What's even more suspect about this photo that Meghan never wanted the world to see was that Taylor, the journalist that posted it, no longer has it up on their Twitter feed. In fact, all of his Twitter posts have been removed. And it says here that he's a law student. So what's up with that? Now, the last thing that I want to point out here is the Markles' relationship with Australia. Do you guys notice that the majority of their interviews or major interviews have all been with Australian networks and media outlets? Like, who could forget 60 Minutes Australia? We had Thomas Markle Jr. in Big Brother Australia, Samantha Markle with Sunrise, another explosive interview with Samantha Markle in Australia 9. And we cannot forget one of the very first interviews that Samantha Markle did in the very beginning was with Current Affair Australia. Now, I have somewhat of an idea as to why the Markles are choosing to work with Australia. It's not because they're the only country that will give them airtime. That's not the case. I've talked about this in the psychological warfare series, as well as what has been going on around the world with censorship and how governments are trying to force regulation. Australia happens to be one of those countries where they're trying to push heavy regulation in curbing free speech. As I've shown everybody, I've come to the conclusion and the belief that this is a military-grade censorship operation, and it is being backed by a certain three-letter agency that is supposed to be working overseas, not here domestically on the American people. So what we are seeing is other countries pushing regulation in order to pressure the United States to fall in line and do the same. I know that it's taken us about 4 years to get here, but better late than never, and happy to see that more and more people are opening their eyes and seeing the same thing and saying, no, we don't want to be manipulated and lied to anymore. And the thing is that you have people out there who are deliberately trying to sabotage the work that I am doing. They see this channel as a threat, and, too fucking bad. I don't care. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing here and presenting to you quality information for you guys to decide for yourself what's real and what's not. Because the only way that we're going to get to truth is if we're able to have these discussions and debate over, what is really going on. And this are just my thoughts, but what do you guys think? Definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Such a fraud.